Welcome to Quad Builder here on ATV Scene. My name is Chris Earlywine, owner of Earlywine ATV and Cycle and Earlywine Indoor Motocross. We're here today with Billy Maddox, one of our mechanics. He's also one of our class champions of our 06-07 Winter Indoor Motocross Series for quads. A few months ago, ATV Scene did a $20,000 LT R450 project with Lone Star. While the quad exceeded our expectations and performed very well, it was priced out of reach for many riders. Today we are going to do an LTR 450 project build that not only looks great, but is capable of performing on a national level and at a more affordable price tag. Today for our project we're using an 06 LTR 450, which we've already torn some of the stock components off to get ready. We've also went ahead and taken the liberty to install a set of rims and tires around the unit. For the front we have the Hyper rims, which are non-bead lock, which help a little bit in the weight. And on the front we have the Kenda Claw 20-inch front tires. I really like these tires. They hook up in a variety of conditions. They've also got a softer compound. They're not the stickiest though, so they wear really good for a novice rider who needs their components to last. Again, on the rear, we have the Hyper dual beadlock rear rims. Again, I'm a fan of the Hyper rims. They're very durable, dual beadlocks. In case you get a flat, both beads are going to stay on the rim. If you happen to break a component of the rim, each component is replaceable. It's actually 5 pieces that make the rear rim. For the tires, we use the Kenda Claw MXRs. They got a V-tread pattern, which is really good for cornering. They hook up in a variety of conditions, and again, this is going to be a tire that wears really good and gives that novice rider a lot of bang for their buck, if you will. The next thing we're going to do is install the controls. Today we've got a set of flex handlebars made by Fast Company. As you know, they flex down and take out a lot of jarring as you're riding and going through the rough stuff, coming off of a jump and hitting the landing there. This rider decided to bring these bars from their previous bike because, again, they are an expensive investment. They are a very good handlebar. They're very dependable. We're getting ready to install our shock out grips now, and just like our flex bars, our shock out grips has 3 different compounds of elastomers in it, or dampeners, that they use. Our emphasis is on easing rider fatigue with a wrist injury, so we're going to start with the soft elastomer dampeners in our flex bars, the soft compound dampeners in our Boysen shock out grips, and adjust from there. The Boysen shock out grips also has the thumb throttle built in, since our grip does move a little bit, so we're going to replace the stock Suzuki housing with our Boysen shock out grip with the thumb throttle housing built in.
Put these new grips on. You gotta make sure you get all this old glue off. It's gonna be a pain to slide your new ones on.
Now when you're putting these different elastomers in, have a little patience. It takes 3 hands to get them in there. Don't be afraid to say shit every once in a while.
Perfect. Think about that. That's just what it's supposed to do.
Now that our handlebars are mounted and we have our grips on our handlebars, it's time to go ahead and put on the rest of the controls for the unit. This is so much fun. I wish I could do this every day.
All these park and brake and all that stuff on there.
Take it off.
You got a block off? And
All right, what we got here is risers to adapt to our, from a 7/8 inch bar to our 1 1/8 flex bars. And what that's done is raise the bars up and raise the controls up, and our throttle cable is not long enough for that rise. Okay, what we're going to do here is we're going to take this piece of plastic here and we're going to trim it to match this bottom piece here, and we're going to bring our throttle cable again next to our steering stem mount and right up here to allow the adjustability to take out that tightness we have in the cable. Now, after I said that, let me make sure this will work.
Well, what we're trying to do here is take the emergency brake off, put a parking brake block off on it, and get all these controls lined up. Things kind of tight, the new bars. That's good, Joe. Gotta get some more tools, bub. You know where your cable drills in the bottom of that? You got the hole for it? If you drill one right beside of it, stick it in, it makes that so much easier for you.
That is so old school, dude. We've been doing that for 10 years. Who are you?
I learned it when I was 17.
You're still a little wet behind the ears.
You probably never did know about it. You're just acting like you did. Ain't that right?
Perfect. Up next, we're going to install the Elka System 5 steering dampener. System 5 because it has 5 areas that you can actually control or set to the rider liking. We have high and low speed dampening. We also have return to center dampening, the sweep dampening, which is how much of the turning radius actually gets dampened, and the cornering dampening. This is a lot of bells and whistles. It may be too much for anyone except for a really good A rider or pro class rider. Elka also makes a System 3, which has a high and low speed and return to center adjustment, which is probably just about what everyone would need, so you can save yourself a little money and still have a really good system for dampening all the bumps and so forth out of your corners and straightaways and ease your fatigue. This is a really nice machined aluminum here. This is the actual piece is going to get bolted to the frame, then we'll set our dampener right on here and it gets bolted to that piece there. Now we're ready to put this baby in the frame. Get set up top, cradles the frame. This one cradles it from down below there. Probably not going to tighten these up too tight just to make sure our dampener will reach. I'm going to go ahead and set the dampener in here now to the mount on the frame. One thing of concern that I have is, of course, I love the use of Loctite. We try to Loctite about everything, and Elka says to use Loctite in their instructions, but we have steel bolts going into aluminum mounts, which over time they will actually fuse together and seize together through a chemical reaction, and they won't come apart. So a lot of times you want to use anti-seize when you're using steel bolts into aluminum housings. So right now we're going to put them in there with nothing on them, and then we'll probably go back later and put anti-seize on them and put them back together. we're putting our mount piece here on the stem, our clamp, to attach it to our dampener, and our front brake line to the rear of the stem is in the way, so we're going to have to space our brake line back here a little bit and get it away from the stem to be able to mount our stem clamp in there. Alright, we got a spacer here and a new longer bolt, and we're going to move this brake line back a little bit so the steering dampener will clear. And we'll put this spacer in there. Put our bolt through there. Grab the threads at least. There she is. Alright. Right now we're going to put the clamp on the steering stem that the arm from the dampener actually hooks to. We're going to put it on there and leave it a little loose so we can adjust it and make sure everything's aligned properly. It's got to be 90 degrees to the stem, and then our arm going back's got to be straight so there's no binds. Everything works smoothly. So again, we're going to put this on, hand tighten it, and then adjust for our arm. This is the activator arm that goes from the steering stem clamp to the dampener itself. This is what transfers all the energy and makes the dampener actually work, connects it to the stem. We're going to put this on here. Again, hand tighten it, adjust it so everything's just right, and then we'll put our final tightening torques on everything. Just doing one final last check to make sure when our bars are straight, everything is 90 degree, everything is straight, working properly. We've got one last set screw to tighten up there, and we'll be done putting on our Elka System 5 dampener. There she is, all done and ready for action. Next, we're moving on to suspension. With any other 450 out there to race motocross, you'd have to spend between $2,000 and $2,500 getting your quad widened out and getting a decent set of front shocks. With the LTR already coming at 49 inches wide, we utilized the stock shocks, and TCS redid them and made them zero preload. They are fully adjustable, compression and rebound. They anodized the top and made it look really cool. For our rear shock, they turned it into a dual rate, again anodizing the body of it, and it's again fully adjustable, compression, rebound. If you think about it, for any other 450, you'd have $2,500 in the front end. Again, you still have to do the rear. You've got a rear shock and rear axle. You're going to have about $4,000 in the suspension to get a motocross with and get front and rear shock. We've got $1,000 in our front and rear shocks here and still have $3,000 left over to spend on entry fees for the rest of the year. Next up is the motor mods. We're going to install MotoWorks complete exhaust system on our LTR 450. Also, we're going to install the MotoWorks ECU bypass. While we're installing the ECU, Bill is going to go ahead and take off the stock exhaust system off our 450. For those of you not familiar with the terminology of ECU, the MotoWorks ECU is the same thing as the Yoshimura Cherry Bomb, which what this does is accesses a more aggressive mapping in the fuel injection system and gives the 450 more power. Just as easy as taking off a cover there and snapping this bad boy right in. That's it for the installation. We'll get a tie strap and strap it up there so it's more secure, and again, that's it.
Stock exhaust came off a little bit hard. I had to take the dipstick out of the oil tank in order to get just enough play to get that last nut off. Once it just goes on any easier without removing the dipstick. Not going to tighten this yet until we get the muffler on. Let's see where this needs to be rotated to. You ready for that, Chris?
Almost there. Now we're getting ready to put on the muffler, part of our exhaust system here. Slide her into the head pipe here. Nice. Tight fit there. Feels pretty good. They supplied us with new bolts here to bolt it up to our stock mount. I like the looks of that pipe. Got a spark arrestor in it, forestry approved. I really like the looks of that exhaust system. That looks really nice. Fit really well. I like the end cap. It's makes the back of the bike look really nice. Let's see what she sounds like. Want to? Right. Can't wait. Oh man. Really well. Next is our bolt-on aluminum products. We found a company on the internet, SVC Racing. We were doing a lot of auction stuff and rebuilding some bikes, and instead of putting on $100 grab bar and bumpers, this company sells them for a little cheaper. They come in brushed aluminum or polished. This one we're putting on is the polished aluminum. It's got the number plate built right in. Great looking bumpers and grab bars. Let's put her on there and see how she fits. Good looking fit as always. We're going to get us a socket and tighten that bad boy up.
Well, we're finishing up this bolt-on bumper and grab bar. I don't know why they went with cross-country grab bar for motocross, but sticking on here, it's light, incredibly light. I was surprised at that, and it does give a little more to grab onto when you get stuck. But and loading and unloading purposes, all in all, I believe it's going to work well.
That's the final touch on the front bumper there. What a great looking bumper. Got a really great looking quad here. The project's going together good. So far everything's fitting like a glove. Looking real good. Let's go back here and see how Billy's getting along. How you coming there, Billy?
Like a glove, brother. Like
looks
a glove.
Good. Looks that.
Look at
Look at that pipe sticking out of there. Boy, I like that pipe.
I do too.
Next up on our bolt-on aluminum products, we have the AC MX Pro Racing Nerf bars with heel guards.
Super light too.
Man, damn, those are light. We originally used their original set on our Lone Star product earlier, and a lot of riders complained that the heel guard didn't give them enough room for their heels as they're riding on the ball of their foot. Again, this is their new MX Pro Series design, the same design used by Suzuki Yoshimura, and they provide a lot more room in the heel there. They are Pro pegs again. The only catch is that you can only use these with 18-inch tires, so the Woods guys are a little out of luck on this design. In the back of the shop here, we have my wife Nikki and Billy installing the nets on our MX Pro Series Nerf bars. In the meantime, we're going to grab our ends and skid plate here and go up and start installing this. A lot of people say skid plates are overrated for MX. I'm a firm believer in the skid plates, especially for the engine. You got a lot of oil lines, your engine cases, your frame rails you're trying to protect. When you come up short on a jump, going through the whoops, or if you've got a rocky section in a motocross track, again, you want to protect those items on the bottom of the quad. So let's see how this thing fits. What a great way to package these things. Protect you from getting all scratched up and looking bad when you get scratched in the race and on the track. At least it looks good going on. Actually, I don't think this stuff is put on just for shipping. I think this stuff is on the aluminum before it's even cut. As you can tell, it's cut around the famous AC logo here, around the A and the C. So they actually leave this coating on while the thing's being cut up and manufactured, which I think is, again, another good idea. Right now we're going to go ahead and take off the original skid plate, which is plastic. Not much protection there. We're going to get rid of that and then get it out of the way to install our AC aluminum skid plate. Getting ready to install our skid plate here. AC has a really good design that cups up like this in front of the frame. And what we need to do here is we need to loosen our bumper here so we can get that skid plate in behind our bumper to protect the front of the frame there, and then reattach our bumper there. So we'll get to that right away.
What we're trying to do here is this brake pedal's hit the skid plate even after it's mounted up the way it's supposed to be. We got a C-clamp on it. I'm trying to apply some pressure between the frame rail and the skid plate. Squeeze it together there just a little bit.
After installing our skid plate, again, our foot pedal, rear brake pedal, hit our skid plate there. So Billy got a C-clamp on there and pulled the skid plate here as it's curled up around the frame in towards the frame a little bit. Wasn't quite enough. We had to get the old hammer out here, and what we did is we dented that metal in a little bit. Brake pedal clears, everything's good.
Alright, we got our nets installed. We're ready to install the Nerf bars. Done several sets of these. This set was really easy to thread. The holes are plenty big for the nets to go through. Got those installed in no time. Now we'll see how they bolt up.
Continuing on with installing our Nerf bars here, we did get this front bolt in, but the hole was about a ½ inch off. Just use a little manpower, no tools required again, no prying with anything or beating with any hammers just required. A little bit of muscle action there to get it lined up, and we'll go ahead and tighten up this front bolt. The one thing I would like to see is that all these machines are metric bolts, of course. Most all of them are, I should say, and I wish that when they sent something like aftermarket aluminum products, they would stick with all metric bolts instead of going to an American size. We got a 13 here, or a ½ inch, and we'll go ahead and tighten it up. Getting ready to install some steel foot pegs here. In the old days they had aluminum. They wore down quick. Always had to resharpen them. Bent up a little easier. Just didn't have a lot of durability there. This baby right here is steel. Big foot area there to put your foot. Got some sharp edges to keep your foot in place. And again, made out of steel, you're going to have a lot of durability there. I'm getting ready to strap these babies on here.
On the next episode of Quad Builder, Chris finishes the installation of our AC Nerf bars, Nikki installs a blue and white graphics kit from Premise Industries, and we finally get the chance to take our Project R450 out and put it through its paces. All this and more on the next episode of Quad Builder.